Alright guys, welcome back to another DFFOO video where we are going to talk about the Arciela Lost Chapter LUFENIA fight. This video is mainly to inform everybody of the shenanigans that you may have to put up with when going up against these Mantis type enemies, and of course there's a few tips to help you out as well in being able to defeat this Lost Chapter LUFENIA fight. So if you do enjoy this video, if you find it informative and or helpful, please consider liking the video and subscribing for future DFFOO content, as I am here to try to help everybody out in preparing for upcoming LUFENIA fights based off of my experiences that I had in the JP side. So let's go ahead and jump into it, guys. Let's talk about the Arciela LUFENIA fight. Alright, let's talk about the LUFENIA fight that I had so much fun with when it first came out on the JP side. We're going up against two Erode Mantises. Now, they are immune to Paralysis, Lock, and Fluke. The orb first appears when you get them to 80% or below of their max HP, and it remains there for the rest of the fight. It increases by 10 when one of the target's buffs is removed by a player action, which we will get to here in just a few, with a max LUFENIA counter of 20. Now, a few tips for this fight and a few things to remember about this fight is that this fight is very RNG based due to the Mantises buffing themselves at random times, and you will see in some of the gameplay that I have provided for you, they just like buffing themselves at random times. It's very weird. The best way to approach this fight would be to slowly take their buffs away to control the LUFENIA orb. Now, I say this because of the fact that this fight is very RNG based, because of how they just randomly decide, oh, I'm gonna buff myself here. Oh, I'm not gonna buff myself. Oh, well, too bad. You're gonna get owned by the LUFENIA orb. That is what a lot of us had to put up with when this first came to JP DFFOO. But this time, since I'm a little bit more informed with it, and I've already experienced this fight, I actually have a couple more options compared to when this came in the JP side. But Arciela can be used in this fight. The only thing about Arciela is the fact that her D-spell is an AoE one, and it is not focused on just one of them. So it's very hard to control, especially if they don't buff themselves. Then you're kind of screwed. You kind of just screwed yourself over. So it can be very annoying with Arciela, but there are other alternatives. Some good options to use to dispel the buff slowly would be Beatrix. If you do have her LD weapon, she is definitely one of the top choices for this LUFENIA fight. Also, if you have Cloud, if you do have Cloud bit up, you don't need the BT. Just the LD would be just fine, or even if you don't have the LD. But if you have his World of Illusions weapons, which dispels one buff on the enemy, Cloud is another option to use in this fight. Now, there's a few other options, but those two, Beatrix and Cloud, are my top picks when dealing with these Mantis types enemies. Now, again, Arciela can be used in this fight, but the timing on when to use her skills must be perfect. If not, they may not buff themselves again, and you can probably find some YouTube videos on how close it is to the point where it's just like, oh my god, they're about to lose a fight, and then by luck or by RNG in this fight, you know, they buff themselves, and then you can finally dispel them and do whatever you have to do to control the LUFENIA orb. But this fight, again, it's very RNG based. It is rather annoying to deal with. But if you do have Beatrix or Cloud, or if you do want to use Arciela, then you'll be just fine. Now let's look at the couple things to look out for when going up against the Mantis. The Mantis inflicts you with a frame debuff that lasts for 3 actions that slowly HP saps your health away. Now, the HP sap, it's not anything big. It's usually under 1,000 HP, and it's very much manageable. At 80% and 50%, they will cap out on their max brave and inflict you with the HP sap debuff. When they do an AoE brave plus HP attack, they will cleanse you of all of your current buffs. Now, one thing to note is that they have a few different AoE brave plus HP attacks, and of course it's very much hard to tell, except you can probably tell with one of them, which we'll get into in just a second. it is probably best that you let them hit you with their single target attacks to increase the chances of them buffing themselves. And of course, if they buff themselves, then you have control of the fight when it comes to the LUFENIA orb. When they have a red aura and they are doing an AoE attack, they should not cleanse your buffs. The aura does go away after they attack you. Now that whenever they do have that red aura and they are prepared to attack everybody on your team, it'll just be a normal Brave plus HP attack, but it won't cleanse your buffs. The difference that you could probably catch either on the gameplay of this video or whenever you're actually doing the fight is that when it does that AoE attack, that does cleanse your debuffs. It's I guess it's arm or whatever on the Mantis. Its arm has a purple glowing. It glows purple, and that's when you know it's about to cleanse your buffs. But if it does not have that, then it's most likely just going to be an AoE Brave plus HP attack. It is possible to DPS this fight with units like Onion Knight, Ramza, Dark Knight, Cecil, and other DPS units. Now, I will throw in some examples in a pinned comment on this video so that way everybody can get an idea of what potential team comps you can use depending on what units you have to be able to DPS race this LUFENIA fight. But it is very much possible to be able to do so. So overall, this fight is not that hard to control. As long as you have one Dispeller on your team to be able to handle the LUFENIA orb, then your other two teammates can handle the damage part and be able to defeat this LUFENIA fight with no issues at all. Now, if you do decide to bring Arciela, one tip that I could add onto this video is that if you have Lightning and if you put Lightning and Arciela together, one of the good things or one advantage you could potentially do to make it work, now I can't guarantee that this will work, but this is like an idea that just popped into my mind, is that if you fully delay one of them and you let the other one attack you, the one that attacks you has a better chance of it buffing themselves so that you could take advantage of Arciela's cleansing or dispel or whatever and hit them with it to control the LUFENIA orb, and then you can probably switch between one or the other so that way you won't have too much trouble on this fight. But the timing on that has to be on point, and you have to make sure that Lightning does not go overboard with her like delays or attacks on it, because you know Lightning likes to Lightning is a turn hogger. She likes being the star of the fight. So you know, that's an option to use on this fight. But if you do have Beatrix, if you do have Cloud with his Ward of Illusions weapon, then you will 100% be fine in this fight. Just reminder that you probably will have to take a few hits, but as long as you don't let them go too crazy with their attacks, then you should be just fine. And again, I will post up some team comps in the comment section or in a pinned comment of this video so that way you can kind of figure out what kind of team comp you could bring into this fight. But other than that though, guys, that's going to be it for the video. Hopefully you found this information helpful and or informative, and if you did, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for future content, share it around in the community. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in my next video.